Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with TDS? The symptoms can be relentless. Fortunately, I'm Dr. Trump, and I have a treatment plan. Let's hear what some of my patients have to say.
I have been suffering for over a decade, and after listening to Dr. Trump, I can see some results.
Man, I've been suffering for years. I really didn't believe that was help out there. That was when I came across this video on TV.
I really thought I was a lost cause. This was gonna affect me for the rest of my life. But after using the treatment plan, I can see a difference.
I really wasn't sure I could help some of these people. They were so far gone, I wasn't really sure.
I had no idea how much this was affecting my life. My work is slowed down. I'm hardly recognizable anymore. I just needed help.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Constantly angry. I made everyone miserable around me.
I feel like I've aged 20 years in the last 2 years. I've been so concerned. I was really starting to worry about my future.
The treatment is simple. Turn off fake news. Say your prayers, and if you ever feel anxious, just have a Diet Coke like me, and you're going to see a remarkable difference in your life.
Good advice, Mr. President. Good advice. Say your prayers, get off fake news, and have a Coke. Have a Coke. All righty. Tuesday night McFiles. Great to see everybody tonight. We're waiting on Jeemes Akers here any minute now. Mag Rose 2. We got both of them. They both have been delayed a little bit. We would have been on earlier tonight, but they were sort of delayed. Jeemes is doing his flowers, and Magdalene's got heat problems. This heat wave in the Northeast. But we're glad to see everybody, and I think we got the initial glitch out of the system early on. Good to see Lori, Pat, and Deb Dolan. Good to see Carol Smith in the house, and we saw Debbie and Dean Courtwright earlier. Hang on just a second. Let me get that feed off of that. But we're grateful to see everybody tonight. We are entering the last day of June. Today's June the 30th. Tomorrow is July the 1st. We are just a 4-day countdown away from the 250th anniversary of our country. And we had a very tough day today in the nation, and we're going to talk about this tonight a lot with Jeemes and Magdalene. The biggest ruling, for those of you that have not heard, the Supreme Court tonight or this afternoon upheld the right of these birthers that come over here. The parents are legal. They have the baby. President Trump had basically issued an executive order striking the birthright citizenship right down. Well, they came back today and they upheld the fact that if you're born here, even though your parents are illegal, then you have a right to stay. And I think it's a terrible decision. With it being the Supreme Court, ain't much you can do about it. It lands in the hands of Congress, and there's some that are trying to rally tonight to get this done. I think the Congress has been lazy, and they've been trying to wait on the Supreme Court to do their job for them. This should have been done a long time ago. We're going to talk with Jeemes Akers about it and Mag Rose tonight. We're going to play a few videos before we get going here, and we're going to have a few videos and talk with you about it tonight as well. I do want to just play a couple of videos. This is Shannon Bream today. We'll go ahead and play the videos while we're waiting on Jeemes to get done, and he'll be the first. Magdalene, I hope we can get her on tonight. She may not be able to come, but this is Shannon Bream today at the Supreme Court when the announcement was announced. And let me see if I can find this right here. She basically will give you the details of what happened today. And I know I downloaded it. Where is it? I tell you what, while I'm finding that one, here it is right here. This is Shannon Bream this afternoon. She was talking to John Roberts, and she was going to give Clarence Thomas's. This went down 5-4. Amy Coney Barrett, John Roberts, the conservatives basically went with the liberals. That in itself is a story we're going to talk about a little bit tonight. I do want to, before I play this video, I do want to say, for those of you that have sent donations to our new address in Alabama. We deeply, deeply apologize for something. We had the wrong format of the address, and it was the way it was given to us, and I should have checked this. But if you've sent something in the last couple of weeks, I can tell you we've not gotten it because I know how you sent it. This is our new address. You might want to write this down. I sent it to some of you today. 104 Apple Drive, Suite 3, Box 249, Dothan, Alabama 36303. Now that other P.O. Box, 265 Jefferson City 37760, is still in play. So if you got any questions and you feel confused, just send it to the old address for right now. We're just migrating this one. That's sort of why the confusion is there. But the other box is not going to be closed till September. And so either one will work. And if you need, I'm still getting mail at my physical address a little bit too, which is fine. But contact us directly. If you've sent something, please let us know. And all I can tell you, it should be coming back to you. You should be getting it back in the mail or some kind of notice. But please let us know so we can let the P.O. Box know, folks. But that's the correct address there. So if you need to resend something, please do. We greatly appreciate all your donations, even for this show, the news, the faith. We have online giving, but we also have the mail giving. So just let us know. But that is the correct format that you need to send all future mail to, because this is where we're going to be migrating. This is possibly changing too. This is a temporary fix in this transitional time. So just remember, both boxes are open, the one in Tennessee, the one here, but this is our brand new address. All right, here's Shannon Bream, and this is her today after the Supreme Court betrayed the country, and this is what she had to say about it. But listen to Justice Thomas's response. His was priceless. Roll the tape.
Back to Shannon Bream for the view from Justice Thomas.
Was the dissenter here, Shannon?
Yeah, in his dissent, he gets to that point, Bill, that you're making there. The 14th Amendment was enacted in the wake of the Civil War, quote, with the one pervading purpose of securing equal citizenship for the freed slaves. He writes, it was enacted, as Justice Harlan wrote, to secure to a race recently emancipated the civil rights that other citizens enjoyed. So Thomas has always been about that was the purpose of the 14th Amendment. He goes on to say that the court, meaning the majority now, has repurposed the 14th Amendment to protect its own set of preferred rights that the Reconstruction Congress never contemplated and that cannot find support in the text. Today, the court does so by recognizing a constitutional right to citizenship for the children of all foreign birth tourists and illegal aliens. Uses very specific language there. Again, Justice Thomas adhering and agreeing with the government's argument, with which they made here very passionately, that the 14th Amendment was about protecting the children of freed slaves and not what we've come to understand it as. You see his language there. He mentions birth tourism. It came up in the arguments, and clearly that's a very big concern of the dissenters. We also have dissents by Justice Alito and others, so we'll read those as well.
And we will eventually. This is Trump today on all this. He was congratulating Z because, folks, this is not just about illegal immigration from across the border in the South. It's about China. Here's Trump today.
And I'm going.
You're going to go to the Supreme Court?
I think so. I do believe
and
it.
just sit there and listen.
Because I have listened to this argument for so long, and this is not about Chinese billionaires or billionaires from other countries who all of a sudden have 75 children or 59 children in one case or 10 children becoming American citizens. This was about slaves. And if you take a look, slaves, we're talking about slaves from the Civil War. And if you take a look at when it was filed, all of this legislation, all of this, everything having to do with birthright citizenship, it was at the end of the Civil War. The reason was it had to do with the babies of slaves and the protection of the babies of slaves. It didn't have to do with the protection of multi-millionaires and billionaires wanting to have their children get an American citizenship. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's been so badly handled by legal people over the years. If you look...
And it has been handled terribly. Here's Kayla McEnany today on it. Well said here, Mrs. Cayley. Roll tape.
Well, a massive update on the Trump administration's crackdown on birth tourism. The State Department shutting down a sophisticated tourism network after the U.S. Embassy in West Africa revealed more than 100 foreign nationals were using fraudulent documents and visa fixers to illegally obtain American citizenship. And it was a similar story in North Africa. Over 100 visas were just revoked as the embassy there said expecting mothers were coming to America to give birth for the sole purpose of giving their child American citizenship.
And folks, that is the travesty of this ruling today. The Supreme Court, basically, with the help of two conservative so-called judges, and they're not conservative, and we're going to talk about Barrett tonight. It's got ties to Mitch McConnell. But these two justices, basically all the five, and you know the three crazy women, Kajani Brown, Sotomayor, and Kagan, were going to vote against this. So you only needed at least one of Barrett or Roberts to vote with the conservatives for this to be struck down. Both went the other way. But what they're saying is that they have no problem with this. They have no problem with these pregnant women. And folks, that's the whole scam. It's always been the scam with this birthright citizenship. They come over here expectant already, knowing good and well what they're doing. This is not some people fleeing from terrible conditions in another country. This is an organized attempt to usurp the citizenship of this country, invade this country. It's coming from all over the globe, not just Africa. It's coming from Mexico, Colombia, other nations of South America. It's coming from China. Trump, he jokingly congratulated Z today because Z got a victory. This was a complete betrayal of our national security, complete betrayal of our country. What the Supreme Court basically said today is that your citizenship and my citizenship means nothing. It basically was a blank you to all those that have come here legally, that are not doing this. I want to keep rolling this tape, but I wanted to put this in perspective. These schemes, this birth terrorism scheme, is what was at the heart of this argument today. And I'll give Trump this. He said it right. Nobody knows how to argue this because we're all scared of this crazy left and this woke right and the woke left that's going to scream up and down if you separate a mother from a baby and ICE takes a parent that's here illegally away, but their baby is legal, then they can start suing and say, well, the Supreme Court said this was all right. This child's here legally. You can't just up and leave the baby because the mother is involved. It was all a scheme. It's all a scam. Let's call a spade a spade. They know what they're doing. It's an invasion. It's evil. It's wicked. It's mass migration. Illegal migration. And it's happening under our nose. But thanks to Miss Amy Coney Barrett and thanks to Mr. John Roberts, and I got something to say about that, it's okay to do it. Roll tape.
Meanwhile, in Europe, we now know that there was over 400 suspected birth tourism cases since 2024. And investigators managed to trace them to at least 6 companies that coached foreign nations on what to say in their visa interview. The birth tourism companies also arranged housing in America and even set up delivery plans for expectant mothers. Now, the State Department adding, quote, a U.S. visa is a privilege, it is not a right. The State Department is taking action around the world to stop this abuse, to dismantle birth tourism networks, and hold accountable those who try to scam our system.
And that's exactly what happened today. The Supreme Court said, by the way, folks, while I'm doing these videos, I don't mind you affirming. We'll take your comments and questions at the end. Let us get through this. James Akers is coming here any second now. And, you know, I know it's, let's see what we're going to do here. This is the two individuals that went the other way today. Actually, not just Thune. Gockford, who we follow, a great guy. He follows us too, actually. Very honored that he does. He's got a big account. On the left is a compromised fake conservative woman who refuses to secure our elections. On the right is a compromised fake conservative man who refuses to secure our elections. Both of them are a disgrace to the country. Well, Thune's going to have to do something now because this is also tied to the election ballot box, folks. These illegal babies are going to be basically able to vote because they're legal citizens when they grow up. It's not just about the issue of mom and daddy being separated. Now you're going to have anchor babies that are going to grow up eventually if they stay here in the country, and they're going to be able to go right into that ballot box and vote, even though their mom and daddy brought them here with the desire expressed purpose of being here illegally. So it's just a scam today. It's not good. It's not a good day for our country whatsoever. This is Chip Roy and what he had to say about it. Roll tape.
The United States Supreme Court manufacturing out of thin air a complete abomination of a ruling by the Chief Justice suggesting that you can simply become a citizen from being born on dirt, thereby validating the abhorrent practice of baby factories and moving people here to be born to be able to become a citizen, leaving us under no choice but to do what we must do to say, pause immigration. Just stop it. Stop all immigration, because if it's going to be exploited for people to come here when they're pregnant, people allow somebody who's working for the Chinese Communist Party and to come here and have children to become American citizens, and then have our laws exploited like they were under the previous administration. It is why this Congress should act to pause all immigration.
I totally agree. That's the only way you can stop it. That's the only way you can stop it. Trump tried to do that in his first term, and he got sued every day, and on Sunday, twice on Sunday by the left. Chip Roy, who I've got mixed feelings about, but in this case, I'm with Chip 100%. Million percent, actually. You're not going to stop this stuff until you just put a halt to all of it. We just need to shut our borders down right now. Tell the world, sorry, we got to get our house in order and get these illegals out. I'll put it like this. The way that we stop this mess is we make sure mom and daddy that's here illegally don't get here to begin with. And we tell the world, we got to get our house in order. You're just going to have to wait for a little bit. And you can go pitch a fit at the ACLU somewhere else, and you can go pitch a fit at the UN. Go to Germany, go to Europe. They'll welcome you. You know, you want to go do this crap over there, they're going to welcome you with open arms. I'm a little ticked off tonight about this. It burns me up that these justices are doing this. And you know, it's sad that we have politicized the court so much. And but I want to play this again, but Roy, it's about 51 seconds. I want you to listen to him, folks. This is the answer to all of it. Tom Holman pushed this idea. Trump pushed this idea back in the first term, and the courts went nuts, and people sued him every day, twice on Sunday, to stop him, and these rogue judges stopped it. But Trump knew back then in the first term this was what we needed to do. One more time, listen to Chip Roy.
The United States Supreme Court manufacturing out of thin air a complete abomination of a ruling by the Chief Justice suggesting that you can simply become a citizen from being born on dirt, thereby validating the abhorrent practice of baby factories and moving people here to be born to be able to become a citizen, leaving us under no choice but to do what we must do to say, pause immigration. Just stop it. Stop all immigration, because if it's going to be exploited for people to come here when they're pregnant, people allow somebody who's working for the Chinese Communist Party and to come here and have children to become American citizens, and then have our laws exploited like they were under the previous administration. It is why this Congress should act to pause all immigration.
Yep, here's Justice Thomas. I don't know if this was today, but this was recent in a recent speech concerning what Mr. Chip Roy just said. Roll the tape.
Progressivism seeks to replace the basic premises of the Declaration of Independence, and hence our form of government. It holds that our rights and our dignities come not from God, but from government. It requires of the people a subservience and weakness incompatible with a constitution premised on the transcendent origin of our rights.
Yep, that is Clarence Thomas, and very, very well said, folks. Very well said. All righty, now let's go here. I want to go to what I'm going to do here. This is McEnany today arguing with Harold Ford about this. And I'll just read you the tweet. This is from her. She says, Justice Alito nailed it in his birthright dissent. This is Alito's dissent today. He said, this is one of the most important decisions in the history of the court, and in my judgment, they have made a serious mistake. Serious, don't cover it. The 14th Amendment clearly states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the U.S., and the state wherein they reside. As Justice Thomas wrote, children born to temporary visitors owed allegiance to another government, the country of their domicile, so they are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. Bingo. The logical manifestation of the majority upholding birthright citizenship is that billions of foreigners, including those of hostile nations, including China, have now instant access to U.S. citizenship for their children. And all they must do now is step on American soil, give birth to a child, no need to stay. This makes precious little sense. Of course, nothing the government and the Supreme Court does make sense. And Justice Thomas is correct. I am not sure that today's opinion will stand the test of time. The citizenship clause added greatly to the dignity and glory of American citizenship. Today's opinion devalues that citizenship. Folks, today's opinion basically sticks its middle finger in the face of all of you that are citizens of this country. And they don't even blink doing it. And I'm trying to find her discussion with Harold Ford. We thought we downloaded that, but that's okay. McEnany, basically, just what I just read to you is what she read to him. He didn't agree with that. Of course, Dems never do. Because they want these elections, and they want these people here. I don't. Here's Stephen Miller. Here's Stephen Miller today. He was on fire about it. Roll tape.
Justice Roberts and Justice Barrett decided to cave to the radical left. Alito was so clear in his wording about what Election Day means. Nobody could read the statute, could read that opinion, could read what Alito wrote and come to any other conclusion. It's Election Day, not Election Week, not Election Month, not Election Months. So this was really a travesty, and it underscores, Laura, why we have to keep fighting to pass the Save America Act.
And what he's talking about there, it's tied. This was yesterday's ruling that we and Leslie talked about last night, is that when you allow ballots to come in after election night, you're basically not saying election night anymore. It's election month. And again, it disrespects people that are not lazy, that are not trying to cheat, that cast their ballot on election day. It forces the states to count ballots correctly and legally and not have this chicanery going on. It forces people that they know that their ballot and their vote counts because it's not being offset by a fraudulent vote. The Supreme Court stuck their middle finger in the face of America yesterday on all that. Same judges, Barrett, and I think Kavanaugh went with the left on that. But I know Barrett did again. Roberts did. It was 5-4 again. Barrett and Roberts. Interesting. Got a take on that in a minute, but I'm not quite ready to say it yet. But interesting stuff there. This is John. Let's see here. A couple of other videos about this. This is Stephen Miller on the one thing that the courts did rule in favor of, that Trump is allowed to deny these temporary security passes for these Haitians. Miller explains it beautifully. This is an Obama thing. Roll the tape. 1 out of 3 ain't bad, I guess, but we didn't get these first 2 right. Here's number 3.
Well, so first of all, there you see that throwback from Janet Napolitano, who said there's an earthquake in Haiti, which, by the way, it's total BS that we have TPS for earthquakes, but put that aside. There's an earthquake in Haiti, so she's announcing TPS for a few months while they're recovering from an earthquake. That was in 2010, 15 years ago. Then the Biden administration, in its last year, extends TPS to every single illegal alien from Haiti while they are flying them en masse into Springfield, Ohio, across the Midwest. It was a formal policy of replacing the communities that lived in, settled, and sustained these communities for generations. It was one of the most heinous things this government has ever done. And yes, under President Trump, let me be very clear, the illegal alien Haitians are going back to Haiti. They can build their country there.
Stephen Miller is so right when he says that this is one of the most heinous things the government has ever done, importing this many Haitians into Springfield, Ohio in particular. Let's just take a look at all the stuff that they actually did in Ohio. So this woman right here, her friend is in pest control and walked into an illegal Haitian apartment that had dead dog skins hanging inside the apartment. The illegal Haitian migrants walk around the parks with machetes. She personally knows people that were kicked out of their homes for the Haitians that were giving housing vouchers. Go down again. We have this guy who is sitting here. The Haitians have taken over. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. They're taking our geese from the parks. This guy is in Springfield, Ohio. Here's Springfield, Ohio. They're kicking Americans out of their homes and giving them to the illegal migrants. Another woman from Springfield, Ohio. Haitians are cutting up what appears to be dog in their backyards. This is a woman who's speaking at their council meeting. Let's go down here. The Haitians are getting into so many car accidents that all the Americans are having their car insurance rates risen. American citizens are being evicted from their homes so that the illegal Haitians can get access to those homes. The illegal Haitians are being given driver's license despite not speaking English and just getting here. It goes on and on and on. People from the Biden
and that's the key word. It goes on and on and on, and that's the end of that video. Stephen Miller explained it beautifully. We at least got a win on that one. The Trump administration has a right to revoke those, and the court said you can do it. Now, a couple of other videos, I'm going to talk about this, and we're waiting for Jeemes Akers and Magdalene. We may not get Magdalene tonight, it looks like, but we're going to get Jeemes. This is Glenn Beck today on this, and I'll just read you his comment. This is not a video, but I'll just read you what Glenn Beck had to say about it. He said the Supreme Court ruled that apparently immigration is a suicide pact. It has struck down Trump's Birthright Citizenship executive order and chose to distort the single most important phrase in the 14th Amendment and subject to the jurisdiction. When the Republican Congress drafted this amendment after the Civil War to protect freed slaves from the Democrat Party's terror campaign, by the way, they inserted that phrase for a definite reason. It was meant to cover people who owed full allegiance to this country. And folks, let me explain that to you tonight. If you get two Chinese people that are over here illegally, coming in here to infiltrate the country, they have no allegiance to America. Their baby has no allegiance to America. Same thing with a Mexican, same thing with a Colombian, same thing with El Salvador, same thing with anybody that comes from any nation. Doesn't matter where they're coming from. They have no allegiance to this country. If they're here illegally, they're basically saying blank you to the country. They're basically saying blank you to our laws. They're basically peeing on the U.S. Constitution with no sense about them. This is how ugly this decision was today. The Supreme Court basically gave a green light to those. And Terry, your comment about the free citizenship, it ain't even free citizenship, my friend. It's illegal citizenship. There is no citizenship. This ain't about having free citizenship. This is illegal. It's not even based on the rule of law. So this is the maddening thing about this ruling today. That jurisdiction and that allegiance to this country, if you're a true citizen, you pledge allegiance to our country at your entrance into the country where you're legalized and naturalized. The anchor babies have no allegiance because mom and daddy have no allegiance. And it was meant to cover people who owed full allegiance. It was never written to create automatic citizenship for children born to people, listen, who enter our country illegally or who come here on tourist visas. And that's what that scam was that McEnany was talking about. It's already happening, folks, from Africa, North Africa, China, and other nations to give birth or are part of a mass surrogate campaign run by the Chinese Communist Party to increase its influence over America. The authors of the 14th Amendment could never recognize what the court did today. They'd be turning over in their graves. They're already doing that anyway. They have taken our constitutional compassion, born of justice and mercy, twisted it into a weapon against us. It absolutely makes no sense. That's an understatement. Folks, I've been saying this to you for weeks, months, years. This illegal migration, this illegal influx, and this inflow into our country they're using our laws against us. Is what I'm trying to get out of my mouth here. They're using our laws against us. They've always used our laws against us. They're doing it right now. It is a travesty. It's a travesty. But the Supreme Court let them do it even more tonight, and it's not a good place to be. Not a good place to be. Here's Matt Walsh on it today, and then I got something to say about the justices. Roll the
Conservatives on the Supreme Court, given a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to lawfully preserve the future existence of the United States of America, decided instead, at least one of the alleged conservatives, Amy Coney Barrett, decided to protect her own image as nonpartisan. I mean, catastrophic does not begin to describe this ruling. It's yet another way in which our laws are being bastardized and distorted beyond recognition as a way of transforming this country into something unrecognizable.
Yeah, and I'm going to play that again. Play it again one more time. 32 seconds.
Court, given a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to lawfully preserve the future existence of the United States of America, decided instead, at least one of the alleged conservatives, Amy Coney Barrett, decided to protect her own image as nonpartisan. I mean, catastrophic does not begin to describe this ruling. It's yet another way in which our laws are being bastardized and distorted beyond recognition as a way of transforming this country into something unrecognizable.
It is unrecognizable, without a doubt. I got something to say about this. I'm going to get myself in a little bit of trouble here. Jason Miller and I have talked about this more than one occasion, and it is no coincidence, and it should not be caught off of your microscope tonight and your purview of this. 4 women are on our Supreme Court. That's all 4 of them right there. And we're beginning to basically wind up the fact with the reality of it is we have no majority on that Supreme Court. We're supposed to have a 6-3 majority. Barrett has basically sided with the women. That's who she's siding with on this. There are some indications that Barrett has adopted a Haitian child. I don't know that to be true. There's rumors that John Roberts got into a scam, and there was some scamming going on with some adoption situation years back, and they're blackmailing him. I'm not going to deny or say that's true or not. But I will tell you this, folks. I was driving down the road today, and I was a little frustrated, and I was just letting it all hang out in my car with the Lord. And the thought came to me, and I don't know if it's coming from heaven or it just came from Chris. You had 5 women today that voted against birthright citizenship. You say, well, I thought there's only 4 there. No, John Roberts has been emasculated by these women. We got 4 Jezebels on the court. 4. And we've got an Ahab on the court that's leading their charge and protecting Jezebel. I've said this, folks, over and over, and I stick to this, and I know that people get frustrated and upset about this. Women have never been destined to lead in this manner of this nation. We should not have 4 women on that court. Every Republican president, every Democrat president that has put a woman on that bench, they've turned out to be a failure. I ask you to name me one female justice that has done something good for the country. And I know people are going to put Sandra Day O'Connor up there. And let me remind you, it was Sandra Day O'Connor that basically upheld the Roe v. Wade argument. Reagan tried to get Roe v. Wade taken down, and she betrayed him in the latter part of his second term and stood up for abortion rights and cast the deciding vote to keep Roe v. Wade in place until it was taken down a few years ago, during the Biden years. So I submit to you tonight, show me one female justice that's done something good for the country. I can show you a lot of male justices that have. Now, I know that's sounding real misogynistic to some. There's no mistake, folks. There's no mistake. You got a woman in that black robe right there, the black lady there. I heard McCaney say this today, McEnany. It was perfectly said. She should have recused herself from this case. You know why? Because she's ruling on a situation about babies and women and having babies. She don't even know what a woman is. She's arguing a case and she don't even know what a woman is. So if you don't know what a woman is, then you don't understand what birth is. Then why are you so concerned about a birthright citizenship? And Culture said it good tonight. I'm going to say this tonight. It's amazing how these Dems and these leftists, these four women right here, are all about protecting abortion. All about protecting the killing of babies. All about protecting all these leftists out here, the Dems tonight that are rejoicing in this. They're all about protecting the killers and protecting the abortionists and the baby killers. Protecting the murderers of babies. And claiming that they're not concerned about the life of a baby. Well, they're sure concerned about it tonight when it benefits them, and they knew good and well what this is doing. They knew good and well what this is going to lead to. They're not dumb. People call the Dems dumb. We need to stop doing that. They're not dumb, folks. They're not dumb. I know they may act insane, and we may think they're insane. They're not insane, neighbor. They're just deranged and demonic. There's a difference. There's a difference. Somebody that has got something mentally going on in their head, some of them can't help that. Some of them have had chemical imbalances, and there's just some mental problems, and those, even though they're from demons, there's some people that are insane, but these people are not that. Their motive is demonic. But it's amazing to me that the makeup of this court is no longer Republican conservative. You got 4 women and 5 men. That's pretty much what you got. And you've got a 5th woman with Roberts because he has nothing in his pants. And I don't mean to be so gross, crash about it, but he's basically being controlled by these 4 Jezebel spirits. And that's my opinion. I know some of you ain't going to like that, and that's all right. Because I'm on a McFiles Happy Birthday America 250-year feeling tonight. And as Pat and Deb, I saw just posts, and they're absolutely right. It's a pretty pathetic shame that this goes on 4 days before this country celebrates 250 years. Can I tell you what they did tonight? They made sure that we're not going to be around for another 250. They made sure we may not even be around for another 25 days. 25 years or 10 years. Because I'm going to tell you something, every one of these birthright babies, unless the Congress does something about it, they're going to grow up and they're going to take over this country. And they're going to make sure that the left is in power. And again, this was just a blank you to the rule of law tonight. And the ballot thing was even more grievous to me. I felt like that they should have never allowed these ballots to come in anything. Danny, no, I'm not. No, most judges are not politically left, regardless of which president. I don't think we can say that. I disagree with that. I think that Alito is not left. Kavanaugh is not left. Clarence Thomas sure ain't left. Scalia wasn't left. There's been some good justices through the years. Some of them have been. Some have been sort of in the middle. I don't think you can say they're all like that. But this is the way I look at Barrett, and this is why she's so disappointing. Roberts, he never turned like this until Trump. Roberts pretty much towed the line until Obama, and he saw the handwriting on the wall. Obamacare was challenged in the Supreme Court, and when I saw John Roberts stick up for Obamacare, I knew good and well that Bush Jr. had made a terrible mistake because Roberts was a Bush Jr. appointee. Barrett was a Trump appointee. And Sarah O'Connor was a Reagan appointee. That's political. That's political. And in fact, while I'm mentioning that, Danny, you gave me a reminder that I got a meme about that just right here, and I'll just read this. And then we're going to get on with the show tonight a little bit because I'm waiting on James Akers to stop watering his plants and come on and talk to us. This is what John Roberts has done, Danny, since he's been in office. He's not left. He was put in by Bush Jr. But he's become left while he's in there. I will give you this argument. I don't think they start out left, but many of them do turn left. Roberts turned left. He protected birthright citizenship today. He saved the unconstitutional Obamacare. I know many of you may have forgotten that. He protected Dobbs leaker Sheldon Snook. Protected him. Wouldn't let him get fired. Appointed Brosberg to preside over the FISA court, that same judge that has given Trump so many headaches in his second term. He basically, Brosberg is the one that wrote off or signed off on the illegal wiretaps of the president and the illegal search and seizures that he did, and all these things, this lawfare that the left perpetrated upon Trump. He protected the fake Ukraine impeachment whistleblower Eric Ciamarella. He runs a judicial queue. Roberts is over this judicial queue that is going on in the country. So, Danny, that's what I would say to that statement. That's what I would say to that statement. Anyway, not good, guys, and it's just not good at all. All righty, there was other news today, and we're going to talk about that. And as I said, if I keep looking down at my phone, just know we are waiting for Mr. Jeemes Akers and Magdalene Rose. If wondered, both of them. I hope both of them don't stand me up tonight, because I don't want to have to be the one doing all the talking. This is Mr. Warnock, the Raphael Warnock down in Georgia, who has got to be the most evil individual I think I've ever seen sit behind a pulpit and talk. This is him years ago. I want you to listen to what he said about the image of God, and then I'm going to play something that he said just this weekend. Roll the tape.
No matter what happens next month, more than a third of the nation that would go along with this is reason to be afraid. America needs to repent for its worship of whiteness on full display.
Yep, that is what you call, that is a, you may say, well, that's a wolf in sheep's clothing. No, that's not a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's just a demonic inspired preacher. No, he's not even hiding it. A wolf in sheep's clothing is that they act sort of spiritual and their doctrine is toxic. This guy's doctrine is toxic, but he ain't hiding it. We got to repent. He's saying we need to repent out here being white. He's making God, bringing God into his racism. That's racism, folks. I don't know if you know that or not. I want you to listen to what he had to say this weekend along those same lines. This is Warnock. That was him back in 2016 before Trump got elected. This is Warnock in 2026, just this weekend.
We Christian folk have been blind to our bigotry, to the ways in which we are inhospitable to those who have another way to the center. And then Jews and Muslims and Hindus and Sikhs and others had to stand up and say, we too know something about the glory of God. We talked about equal protection under the law while marginalizing members of the LGBTQ community. But then they found their voice and said, we too know something about the glory of God. It takes all of us to see the glory of God. So we have to push hard against bigotry and racism, anti-Semitism, transphobia, xenophobia in all of its forms, because it is violence not only against humanity but against divinity. It is an offense to the glory of God.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I'm trying to find the video of him with Bill Maher last week, basically blasting Israel, blaming Israel for a genocide, and was telling Bill Maher that the Jews or the Palestinians had just as equal right to do what they're doing because the Jews were doing this and the Jews were doing that. Basically an anti-Semitic rant. And Bill Maher, to his credit, basically looked at this racist anti-Semite And folks, let me just put it in perspective. This is the same man. He's decrying racism with his self-righteous bigotry in that pulpit right there, when he just said 10 years ago that we need to all repent for being white. That we need to repent for our whiteness. If that's the most not racist thing I've ever heard in my life, I don't know what is. And if I need to draw that for you in crayon, I'll draw it in any color you want to. That is an evil individual. But let me give you the shortened end of this, folks. You Georgians, my home state, I'm ashamed of you for putting this demon in power. Why is he in power? Why? Because people didn't vote. And people put him in power because he's black. And we're trying to be politically correct. And you got a man, by the way, he claims he's a reverend. What he was saying to you in that video just now, he's saying that the LGBTQ community reflects the glory of God. That is an absolute lie. We do not judge the LGBTQ community, but I can assure you tonight that the homosexuality and the lesbianism and the transgenderism and the things that that community produces, I'm going to tell you something, it does not reflect the glory of God, neighbor. It reflects the evil of Satan. It reflects the bondage of the devil. It reflects darkness. It reflects deception. It deflects violence. It reflects things that are not even the nature of the animals, don't even do it. These are the voices that are in Washington, D.C. tonight, neighbor, that's leading our nation. So all you out there that are so self-righteous and bigoted and saying, well, we don't need to vote because God forbid we make sure that people like this don't get into power, you keep saying stuff like that. Before you know it, this is going to be the voice in D.C., not in the Congress halls. They're going to be in the White House halls, because I will guarantee you, folks, a voice just like him eventually, if this nation keeps going, somebody like this with this mentality and this ideology is going to be residing at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue before it's done. My brothers and I have talked about this many times, that we have I don't think any of us doubt that there's not going to be an outward, avid homosexual in that White House before this is over with. I'm not sure we ain't already had one in Obama. I know a lot of people claim he was, and I am not going to say that. I've got my thoughts. I got some assumptions about that, but I'm not going to put my hand on the Bible and say it. I'll just leave that to you and let you make your call and whatever. But I'm going to tell you something. This is grievous. Just listen. I couldn't even hardly listen to it today, but I had to bring it to your attention because I want you to know these are the people that are in power. These are the people that are in power over your states, your children, your families, and they're wanting to be in power in D.C. I'm going to find that video with him and Maher, and I'll play it maybe Thursday night. But I'm telling you, that's evil, what you just heard. I hope you understand that. I think most people in this audience do. But there are some out there that applauded that. You hear the crowd congregation? Did you hear the congregation, their reaction to that? Let me tell you something. I wouldn't be attending a church with a pastor like that. But not only did they attend, but they clap. They clap. So, we want to know why we're not having revival. And we want to know why we don't have the things of God that we need to. That's why. That's why. And Judy, he's not a prophet. I hate to tell you, you've got the wrong thing. You got the wrong thing. You say he's a prophet. He's not a prophet. Judy, he's a preacher. He's a pastor. No, that's a congressman right there. That's a congressman. He believes that. So stop putting that P-R-O-F-I-T in there. That's not right. No, he's not a false prophet. No, that man is a leader in D.C. because the Georgians were too lazy to get out and make sure he didn't get in power. All right. James is ready. So I'm going to get my buddy on to get me out of this trouble. Let's see if we got those plants washed. This is Jeemes Akers coming on the line now. And let's see if he's ready to go here. We'll talk to him about all this. We're going to take more of your questions here in a little while. Mr. Akers.
Hello.
How are you, sir? James?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, buddy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you're really faint.
All right, so I'm gonna go on to FaceTime with you now. That way we can change that. Maybe that'll be a little bit better. Can you hear me now? There we go.
Okay, yeah, much better.
All right, good deal. Good to see you tonight, sir. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Good to see you tonight. And listen, I just wanted to get your take on some things tonight and see what you're doing. And I know that the big story today has been this several rulings in the Supreme Court, but this biggest one I thought was the anchor baby birthright thing. What was your thoughts on all that? I think, James, this is going to be a dark day. This is going to be, to me today, was not quite as dark as July the 26th of 2015 when they agreed to same-sex marriage, but I will tell you what, buddy, it's close. It's close.
Well, I think it's the Trump versus Barbara case. The court ruled the way most commentators are viewing it is that the court upheld the idea that anyone born on U.S. soil is entitled to citizenship rights. That's the way most people are looking at it. Whereas I think on the right, it's more viewed as, extended immigration rights, and so there was really a busy term for the Supreme Court. They handed down more court rulings this time than they have in a long time. And Chris, I was just reading a couple overviews of the main cases and this, that, and the other, and it sort of looks like a mixed bag. I think if you remember a few days ago, the first ruling that the public became aware of was generally viewed as a win for the administration. And there were a lot of commentators that said they were going to get this one out for the White House to create an impression, and then several of the subsequent holdings would not be so favorable to the White House. And so, I taught a class my last semester teaching out at the College of the Ozarks, and it was about the history of American law. And we focused quite a bit on the Supreme Court. And for the most part, I think there are several of these decisions that certainly Trump didn't get nearly everything he wanted or close to it. But there were several very important decisions that basically upheld his presidential authorities. They ruled, for instance, that he could, in most of the agencies, the government agencies that fall under the executive rubric, he could fire those individuals without cause. The one exception they carved out was when it came to the Fed. And the Cook lady, they did not uphold his authority there to fire her. While there are a lot of things pending with that decision, she does have to go. That decision has to go through a more extended due process than the others. And the Supreme Court seemed to say that the Fed had some specialness to it that limited any Trump or any subsequent president's powers in that arena. So it was sort of a split the baby type decision, and it was interesting, from a judicial viewpoint and from an analytic viewpoint. There are a lot of these decisions. Of course, the factions on the court held the way they have now. You have the liberal, most people would say left-leaning justices Sotomayor and Kagan and Brown Jackson, and those three, and then you have the three sort of center conservatives. And that includes Chief Justice Roberts. And then you have the three that are considered to be the conservative wing of the court. And with Justice Alito getting a lot of attention lately, including an NPR rumor that he was going to be stepped down from the bench, which proved to be false. And so lots of interesting things. It's always interesting, sort of like we used to have in our building experts that would watch the Politburo. You have experts, legal experts in the country that watch these three factions of the Supreme Court and pretty much analyze to the nth degree everything they do.
Well, I'll agree with you to a degree. I will say, and I probably should have been a little bit more balanced in what we were saying, because I'm a little fired up tonight about this birthright thing. But I will say that, in fairness to the court, they did hold that a man cannot participate in women's sports. And isn't it amazing to you that the three women, the three liberals, ruled against that? And that was really where Kayleigh McEnany tonight said that Kajani John Braxton don't even know what a woman is. So how can she even make herself feel qualified to even rule on such a ruling? Basically, and again, perversion, and a man participating in women's sports. But then, you had the case you mentioned with Trump's power. I'm sure that was a view of a victory with the president. But I think that the ones that they dropped, Jeemes, the one they whiffed on, unfortunately, are two of the bigger issues, because it has to do with citizenship and it has to do with infiltration of our nation from China and the voting. We don't have election month, buddy. We have election day. And they just basically are saying that these people in California and all these fraudulent blue states, they count votes till Jesus comes and wait till they figure they got enough to declare a winner and do the same thing that we've done. We watched Spencer Pratt. I firmly believe Spencer Pratt was in the top two vote getters. I'm not so sure he didn't get more votes than Bass did in L.A. And it's a miracle of God that Steve Hilton was declared number 2 in California. And I think he's got a good chance. But, James, he don't have a chance if the fraudulent votes are not counting on election night. And I just think that the Congress now, this behooves the Congress. If they have got to stop being so lazy and codify this stuff into law and make sure that there is no way that the Supreme Court can be legislating. Because I looked at these things tonight as the bench, as them legislating policy from the Supreme Court that's not right. They're only a third of our branch of government. They're not the whole government, and they act like they are sometimes. And I think it's disgusting.
No, they certainly judicial autonomy, and especially these decisions of the Supreme Court and the whole federal court system, has assumed a power far greater than what the founding fathers had carved out for them, and there is no doubt about that. And you're seeing. You're just seeing a reflection of the political split in the country is pretty much reflected on the court these days. You have three that vote for every leftist liberal cause. They just happen to be females at the present time. You have the three on the right, and in the swing, it's almost always, it's rarely anymore a 5-4 vote. It's typically a 6-3 vote, with the three leaning right, most people will say right center faction of the court, with the swing vote these days, and I think that pretty much reflects. I mean, I'm not happy about it either. I think the Democrats in some of these jurisdictions just simply count the votes until they win.
That's exactly what they do, James, and that's why this
exactly what's going on. And the court so far, I think the only caveat was that they have to be postmarked by Election Day. Other than that, they allowed that practice to stand, and it is a disgrace.
It's a disgrace. I
simply
vehemently disagree that you have a right to vote. Look, I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a minute so you can get me off of it. But let me tell you this: if these people can get off their lazy backsides, and I want to use another word so bad tonight, I'm a little wired up tonight. They need to get off their lazy carcasses and get to the freaking polls. James, if you and I can go to that poll and vote and stand in rain and hail and cold and snow or whatever in November and vote, everybody else can too. And these lazy people that want to go do that, and then they claim, well, I'll just stick my vote in the box on Election Day. It's unfair to the people that make the sacrifice to do it. And the way I look at it, if that vote is not in by 8 o'clock when the polls close, I'm sorry, you don't get to vote. And another thing, and this is why the birthright citizenship is so dangerous. These babies are going to grow up, Jeemes, and they're going to vote. And they're not going to be voting for America because they're not going to have to make any allegiance to America. They're illegal. They're illegal. And this burns me up. And the Supreme Court, I don't know what possessed. Let me ask you a question. Let me change the tone of the conversation. Why do you think Amy Coney Barrett has gone so nuts and gone left on these things like this? It's like she's bipolar. It's like she's Jekyll and Hyde. Roberts has always struck me as being a traitor and sellout. Barrett shook us all up with her turn last year against Trump, and it makes no sense. And there's a lot of things that don't make sense, and I'll get to that more with you in a minute about Trump. But what's your take on Barrett tonight? Because she was at the heart of both these votes.
Yeah, she's part of that swing faction on the court that when it comes to sort of the original constitutional wording and the like, they typically vote conservative, but there are the cases where they don't, and I get it. I get what you're saying. In terms of this, the voting. Allowing votes to be counted after Election Day, the dissent by Alito, I think, hit it right on the head when he said it just undermines any confidence in the electoral process.
Yes,
and it opens up, especially in these heavily Democratic districts, it just opens up the whole process to the charge of corruption. And I think that's exactly right, and I think that's what you're saying. I think in some of these cases where these courts just issue these rulings that defy any sort of common sense, it is undermining the public confidence in the judicial system.
Is it fair enough to say that a lot of this is because of the laziness of Congress? Because if Congress would get off its backside and vote, Jeemes, and put these things into law, because see, this was an executive order. I think people need to realize this, and I talked about this last night late. We have gotten to the point in this country for the last 3 presidential cycles that, and maybe even 4, every president comes in, they write these executive orders because Congress is at a deadlock. We have absolutely a do-nothing Congress. The legislative branch is dead. And these presidents have to push their agenda for the 4 years or 8 years they're there by executive order. But the next president comes in, he rips those executive orders up, writes his own. He rules by executive order for 4 to 8 years. The next guy comes in, tears his up. He rules 4 to 8 years, all by executive order, without there ever being any of these passed into law. And it's because Congress is at the seat of power that passes the laws, James. The president can't pass the law. He's the executive branch. The courts even can't pass the law. These rulings tonight by the Supreme Court, that's why we have the legislative branch. We have 3 equal branches of government. Is it fair to say that part of the problem tonight, and the reason I'm mad tonight, is Congress? This should have been dealt with. If Harry Reid, as evil as he was, could see that anchor babies was evil for this country, can we not get some Republican conservative people to see that and do something about it? Yes. All right, soapbox 2. Soapbox 2, what's your say on that?
I'll agree with you to the point that the legislature, the legislative branch of government, has largely punted on its duties to this country. And what we have now, and you hit it right on the head, a raft of executive orders so that government actually doesn't function unless it's under the rubric of an executive order these days. And that was not the way the founding fathers intended for the government to be run.
Exactly.
And as we have discussed on this program many times, ad infinitum, that if at the end of this administration there aren't things done to institutionalize some of these changes, there are going to be executive orders the first day of the next administration that undoes everything that Trump accomplished while he was in office.
Well, I bought something today for our background as we're celebrating America Month, and I'll read it to you, and you've heard it. Ronald Reagan once said, "Freedom is never more than a generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same." And James, when you get down to these babies, these anchor babies, and Barrett's making a great point, it's not just the babies. We've got to pay for that. The taxpayers pay for that. These illegals ain't going to pay for it. They're here basically milking us for every dime we got. And I don't know who it was. Jenna made a great point. The money that goes to these anchor babies are monies that do not go to hospitals that house. It's a domino effect. It ruins taxpayer money that's supposed to go to hospitals and health service agencies for American citizens. James, I have watched so many people get so angry about how veterans are treated. You're a veteran, and my dad was a veteran before he died. I never saw my dad get so frustrated and mad with the VA trying to get benefits, and they would basically drag their feet. He almost died, dealing with the VA before he came down with COVID and died of pneumonia ultimately. But when he had his heart attack and he needed the VA to be there for him, they wasn't for him. They wasn't there for him. In fact, I remember the first time he got diagnosed with cancer. If he wouldn't have went to a regular doctor, he'd have been dead. But my point in all that is this. we don't understand the ripple effect, and I think the audience is picking up on it. It's going to be the taxpayers are going to have to wipe this mess up with our pocketbooks and our wallets. Are we not?
Yes, I agree. You'll find no disagreement on that all the way down. I will take just your dad's treatment by the VA mirrored what happened with my dad.
Yeah.
And, I remember talking to a doctor. My dad's in a wheelchair. He can't even move. It's obvious, and the doctor says, "Well, this has to go before a committee to see if he's entitled to this, that, and the other." And I said, "Listen, this is a World War II veteran.
Come on.
And if you cannot take care of him, why do you exist? Period." And so we experienced that with my dad. On the other hand, the VA has just been really good to me, and so I have no real complaints. I go up here to Dayton, Ohio, and they've been excellent to work with. So that's my personal story. So I've seen both sides of it. They let my dad down big time. And my dad, like your dad, I'm sure, was of that generation where he did not want to take money that he felt could go to somebody more needy. You know what I'm saying?
And Dad was.
That was that generation.
Yes.
That was the greatest generation. And now I had a doctor tell me that it makes her sick because you have these guys that may have served for a month before they got some sort of discharge, and they want to milk the system for all it's worth. There's just a generational divide. You see it in the VA. You see it in the politics of this country. You see it in the attitudes of patriotism toward this country, and and certainly in the political process we see it.
Yes, you do.
That's my sort of soapbox.
Oh, you're fine. Listen,
climb back down off of
No,
it.
you're fine. I want you to stay on it for a minute because I want to talk to you about what happened Tuesday night. We didn't have a chance to talk to you after the situation that happened a week ago tonight in New York with all these radicals. We had you on Monday last week. We've got you on Tuesday tonight. There's another radical running in Colorado. What was your thoughts watching those election results come in? Did you believe for in the wildest hallucinations of Jeemes Akers that the Democrat Party would go so far radically left that they would elect three of the most rabid, anti-Semitic, socialist candidates in the entire universe to represent them? And some of them, James, look, I'm hoping that cooler heads will prevail in the general, but these three have got a pretty decent chance of going to Congress next January.
Yeah, it's it's like the lunatics have been let out, and they're starting to take charge of the Democratic Party. What is going on? And you're starting to see a little bit of kickback, not nearly enough, but a little bit of kickback now from people that have been in the Democratic Party for a long time. They're starting to recognize that the party that they once revered has been hijacked by people that are further left than probably any other country in the Western world. It's crazy.
Well,
it's crazy.
It's insane. But the other thing that is I don't understand how it's becoming so mainstream. I do understand that. I know that me and you are faith people, and I know that we recognize that there is a spiritual element to this, that it's not just a political movement, James. It's become it's become the rallying cry of a party that's turned into a terrorist organization. Because, see, you got three spears. You've got Marxism, which is communism. You've got Islamicism, and then you've got this anti-Semitism. And it's all these elements are coming together. And these candidates, if they take power, they're not just going to stop in Congress. I just said this before you came on. Just like this Warnock down in Georgia that's over the weekend telling the country, telling his congregation that the LGBTQ community and transgenders reflect the glory of God, in the most blasphemous sermon I think I've ever heard in my life from a pastor. But this guy's in power. He's not just any pastor. He is in charge of committees in the House or on the a lot of high-ranking House committees. My point is, this socialist DAS movement, this Democrat, American Socialist, Democrat Socialist of America, DSA, we better not underestimate it. Because I heard Fox, and I want to get your opinion about this. I heard Fox say it last Tuesday night or Wednesday. They said, well, this will play well in New York, but it won't play in the heartland of the country. I'm not so sure, buddy. I'm not so sure that this is not going to play well, because people just, I don't think they're paying attention to what's happening. It's like the frog with the being in the pod and the water boiling underneath him. I don't know if we understand. I know this audience does, but I don't know if the Americans in general, there's a lot of Americans that don't, do they?
Yeah, no, but there, for a long time, I've sort of held to the notion that we are becoming a country that has a split personality, and a lot of it is the urban versus rural split, and that overlays with the ideological split. So if that person is saying that, for instance, in the Midwest, that there are much different views on this whole neo-Marxist movement that we're starting to see evidence of everywhere, I think I would agree with that, so...
Yeah,
but we'll see.
We'll see.
We will see that it has certainly gained. Now I'm coming back to the point you made originally. It has certainly gained much more traction, a whole lot quicker than I would have thought in my wildest imagination a decade ago.
Yes, I would too. I'm with you on that. I know that the end times are going to be very perilous. I've always said to my family, I said, I told my brother this just a few months ago, we always knew that this was coming, but seeing it in real time, it's not, I'm not fearful of it, because I know who holds the world in his hands, and I'm very settled in the fact that God's going to have his children and he's going to have us in his hands. But, buddy, to see this happen to our nation that I love so much as we celebrate 250 years this coming weekend, and it's going to be it's not like a July 4th that most of us may see again, because unless there's a miracle drug out there, none of us are going to be here for the next 250. Some of us ain't going to be here for the next 50. But the thing about it is that, Jeemes, we're facing this at the apex that most empires of the past go away. And that should give us pause tonight to understand that we're beyond the lifespan of most empires. And if we're going to hand our country over to these communists and hand it over to the socialists, there's no... Look, I'm not going to say there's no hope for America, but we are extinguishing the flame of democracy. And it's like Reagan said, we can't expect our children to just take this flame and fight for it on their own. It's not in the bloodstream. They've got to want to do it. And this younger generation, I don't see them wanting to do that. That's what concerns me, man.
Well, yes, it definitely concerns me about the world that my children and grandchildren are going to step into. Definitely, and we have mentioned that several times. But I was I was reading in the Word, and God always has a remnant.
Yes, He does.
You know, no matter how bad things get, and we've seen this over and over again in history, overlaid with what you were talking about the normal life cycle of empires, that God always has a remnant when things just seem to go completely south with a country and with a culture. And by south, I don't mean the south in our country. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I continue to all of these reports about this very young generation sort of rebelling and going the opposite way from the Gen Zers and a couple of those types, you know, that have just been swayed so far left, and so entitlement minded by all their teachers and their college professors, just feeding all that sort of garbage. You know, there is the pendulum swings, you know, and I think God orchestrates that pendulum so that He is right now just calling out a remnant that just at the point when we're ready to pull the plug and give up on everything, you know, God especially equips a group that do His will.
I'll agree. I'll agree with
that. That is my hope.
Yeah.
But we tend to see, and you can't help but see, everything else is just you know, seeming to come apart everywhere. I mean, and it is happening so fast.
It is, James. It is. And that's what I was saying. I think that seeing it in real time has shaken people, and it has shaken people's faith, and it don't need to, because we are in those times. And I think your analysis is spot on. There is a remnant of people that have not lost faith. They have not lost character. They've not lost their integrity. They still believe in Jesus Christ. They still have a purity of heart, and they're seeking God's will for our nation. They're praying for God's will for our nation. So I'm with you on that. Listen, we've gone, my goodness, we're already at an hour and 25 minutes, and I got to wrap this up. I'm going to get you back on. I'm going to get you back on maybe this week. I do want to ask you a question as we close, and you've sort of already done this. We are celebrating 250 years. I want to get your opinion real quick, if you don't mind, about Trump and Israel. We've sort of had a pause in the hostilities. This Lebanon situation has been unique. Lebanon and Israel, in a verbal way, basically kissed and made up after years of fighting, but I think we're finding out that the Lebanese government themselves, Jeemes, they were not the issue. It was Hezbollah that was embedded in the government and in the country that Israel was going after. They never had a beef with the Lebanese government, and vice versa, because the Lebanese government basically stated this week, said, look, we don't want to keep fighting you. Where do you stand with all this with Trump and how he's publicly, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago because he started it back at the G7. Has what Trump done damaged relations with Israel, or do you think this is one of these things that Bibi's man enough and he's going to handle it like a pro and just brush it off as Trump being Trump? Or do you think there's a growing divide between our two nations? Because I will say this, and I know there are people that don't agree with this, and it's all right with me. If we do turn our back on Israel, and again, I know that is defined. There's a gray area when you say turn your back on Israel. Disagreeing with them is not turning our back. But the way Trump did it publicly, and the way he did it in a way that it really tried to make Bibi look small and blame Bibi for his own failure in Iran, does that not bode very badly for our nation going beyond 250? Because that too is a factor, I believe, in our success and existence, man. And I'll tell you why, and I'll leave this with you, and I'll let you finish this up. Iran is the Persian Empire. They're seen in Scripture at the end. Israel is seen at the end. 2,325 times or so. Israel's mentioned by name. The one country that's not out of that bunch, the three amigos, the three players in this, is us. The United States not mentioned, buddy. Sort of says a lot about the future of this country, doesn't it? If we don't get our act together and support that nation. And when I say support, I'm not saying give them a carte blanche ticket to go do what they want to do. But Jeemes, Israel, I keep saying this to people that tell me all the time, well, Israel this, Israel that, Israel this, Israel that, Israel did this. If we were in Israel's place and defending herself against 7 fronts, my friend, we would not do it any differently. And America wouldn't do it differently. None of these people would. It's a spiritual war over Israel. It is a spiritual attack by the devil to destroy that nation. And sadly, he uses her friends to do it many times. I'll let you wrap us up on this.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this on air and in private several times.
Yes.
My firm belief is that God judges in 2 ways. He judges individuals for what they do with his Son, Jesus Christ. That's on the individual level. On the country level, God deals with countries and judges countries based on how they treat Israel.
That is very true. Yes.
I think that's in my view, it's very plain from Scripture. I don't think you can get away from that. Has Trump sort of distanced himself from Israel? I think Trump's in his view, he's elected president of the United States. He's not elected president of Israel, and so he adopts policies that in his mind advance the interests of the United States, and so does his negotiators. You can make that point. Has he, personal opinion, has he found it convenient for legacy and other reasons to at times throw Netanyahu under the bus? Yes.
Yes.
I think he has. Will that have an effect on American foreign policy and American success going forward? Absolutely, yes. The same as what happened under Biden and Obama when they drifted away, and in some cases just blatantly insulted Israel and its leadership. I think those things, decisions like that, there's an accountability that goes with them in the spiritual world and in the political world, and I think going forward we're going to see a lot of that.
Totally agree, buddy. Totally agree, man.
And if I was king for a day, and I'm not, our foreign policy, and when it comes to anything in the Middle East, would be very accommodating to Israel with all the necessary caveats. Where we don't make every decision to please Israel. But there has to be a spiritual understanding that the decisions we make have an effect if we overtly oppose Israel. There's a balance that needs to be had there. And I thought for the most of the Trump administration and probably up until the last couple months, I thought that advisors in his government had that point of view and that view prevailed. I do not agree that Trump was carrying Netanyahu's water when he launched these airstrikes into Iran, and so
I'll agree.
And a lot of the mainstream media seems to be parroting that viewpoint, and I disagree with it. I disagree with it totally. It was in America's interest to take out the nuclear weapons program in Iran, do what we can to limit their support of terrorist activities around the world, and do what we can to trim these Islamist excesses everywhere we can.
Totally agree, man.
To me, that should be the American policy in the Middle East. But we live in 2026, and when the technology aspect of foreign policy is becoming more and more pronounced, and I think Trump is trying to play that line as well. And so when you have a coming together of his ideas of the legacy he's going to leave, his ideas as an entrepreneur and businessman, especially when it comes to all of this new technology, and a ton of the money for that new technology is coming out of the Middle East these days. And so all of these factors are starting to play in this really complex dance that we have in the Middle East these days. And Trump needs to be prayed for. I think he's making some mistakes, quite honestly, and in the way he is treating Israel. But that's my personal opinion.
No, we're good. We're on the same page. Well, I put it like this about the media. I pretty much trust measles more I trust than the media. Caitlin Collins is out there saying socialism's good. Socialism ain't communism. So when CNN's star reporter says that should tell you all you need to know about the media. Buddy, listen, been a pleasure. Don't go far. Happy 4th of July. Happy 250. There's no rumors. I want to just make it clear tonight that the rumor that Jeemes Akers is 250 years old is absolutely false. I want to clear that up, and I want to clear it up that he was around when Abraham Lincoln was here. That's false. That's fake news. But there's also a rumor that his Reds are going to win the World Series. I hate to tell him that's fake news too. So my Braves we're going to be right behind you in the cellar the way we're playing right now. But it's been a pleasure tonight. Always a pleasure. I'll see you soon. And we'll get together, and I just want to tell you thank you again for being with me tonight. And if we don't see you this week, we'll see you next week for sure, okay? God bless you, friend.
God bless you. Sounds good. And to your audience, there's a movie that's going to be coming out, and Young Washington.
Young Washington, yes.
And it's very good. I saw it the other night with a couple of my sisters.
Okay.
It's a very good movie, and says the right things about our country.
That's awesome, man. God bless you, my friend. Have a great night.
Blessings. Thanks for the opportunity, Chris.
All right, Jeemes. Same to you, buddy. Jeemes Akers, everybody. Put some fire in that house. Grateful to see him tonight. And may the Lord bless all you guys for being with us tonight. And we're grateful to see all you folks that are here. Sherry, thank you. I believe that my analysis of the Supreme Court, I don't believe is wrong either, and I appreciate you saying that. It is not something that I say with a lot of happiness, but I really thought about this today. I did, and I've thought about it for a while. And Folks, we got a Jezebel spirit on that court. If these 3 liberal judges, all women, and I'm not even counting Barrett in this, she voted for the majority with the men and women's sports things today. But you got 3 women that are basically screaming all the time about women's rights and, you know, and they're all about women, women, women. And they sit there in their smugness today and vote against a ruling. And I'm going to just say this to Brett Kavanaugh. He left the door open for this to be handled the same way abortion's being handled by the states, because he didn't specifically say this was a federal statute. He basically said that in each jurisdiction that the ruling is that if there is a situation where the states don't want the men to participate in women's sports, then they can do that. But what it did, from what I've heard from experts, it basically left the door open that if you get into a blue state that does want it, there ain't much you can do except sue again. And I'm sure there's going to be more lawsuits coming to the Supreme Court individually about this. It is a travesty. It is perverseness. It is demonic. It is demonic for a transgendered male to be participating in anything. Period. It's a perverse spirit. That perverse spirit is coming from that Jezebel in court. And I'll say it again, folks, if anybody can show me one good ruling that a female justice has been part of, let me know. Let me know. Anyway, I'll leave that alone. I'm already in a little hot water. Young Washington, this weekend, go see it. I'm looking forward to seeing it. And I want you all to go see it. It's lawless, Miss Cleo. It is. Good to see you tonight, dear. Bless you. Good to see Debbie and Dean Courtwright. Bless you guys. Roger Hooker's in the house. Roger, I hadn't seen you in a while. Good to see you tonight, my friend. Jeemes Akers was great, wasn't he? And it looks like that Magdalene had some heat problems tonight. God bless her heart. They don't have air conditioning, and she couldn't get to a phone. She was going to try to get in her car and do something by phone. She just couldn't do it. We'll get her on this week. We've got a great Thursday night lineup. Tony Branco, the one and only. Man, he is the man. Is coming on. He'll be on an early bird, and then we'll have a late night show. I'm playing with the idea. The last prayer watch that we did, we went with the last 2. The first one we went 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. The second one we went all night. And I want to say that we've done 3 of these. I'll have to go back. I know we've done 2. But I do want us to have we're going to have a midnight prayer watch Thursday night, July the 3rd. Or July the 2nd. Not tomorrow night, but the night after. We're going to start at midnight. Now, we're not going to be able to go all night because Friday the 3rd, some of you got to go to work. But if you can be with me Thursday night late, we're going to pray for this country. And we're going to pray for our nation as we go into the weekend. We may go 3 hours, at least to 12 to 3 for all you late nighters. It'll just be 9 to 12 out west. So I have a lot of West Coast folks that can join me. But I'm going to stay up with you Thursday night. And we're going to pray for our country. And we're going to intercede for our country. And we're going to intercede about this stuff. Because, folks, that's the only hope we got. So Thursday night, don't forget, I'll announce it tomorrow. And so forth. I've got a lot more video. I want to play one video before we go tonight because it's running late. Here is RFK Jr. I love RFK Jr. By the way, I got to tell you something. I'm following a story. Michelle Obama, there was a show about patriotism that, if you've ever seen the show Curb Your Enthusiasm, I've just glanced at it at times. I didn't follow it. But it was Larry David, Cheryl Hines, who is RFK Jr.'s wife. She's a nice lady. She's liberal. She's a Democrat. RFK's a Democrat. But she's really backed her husband in this. And I've been very, very, very pleasantly surprised at how RFK has handled this country. I've been I'm not going to agree with him on abortion. I'm not going to agree with him on a lot of his stances on things. But for him to do the right thing as a Dem and fight for the betterment of America, he's got my utmost respect. And his wife has my utmost respect. You know why? She's backing him. And she's not betraying him. Well, she was part of that show for years, Curb Your Enthusiasm. And she wanted to be part of this special that they're doing as it relates to patriotism and the 4th of July. And they were going to do a special. Well, it seems that Michelle Obama, who is the producer of the network that this show is on, made it clear to the producers that Hines was not to be anywhere within a million miles of it. And she's devastated tonight, and it's been very troubling. You can thank the Obamas for that. And that's how they play, and that's how they act. But this is RFK today, and I have to say, I've been very pleased with him. And but I want you to listen to what he told Hannity. This was on Hannity last night, or Jesse. I think it may have been Jesse Waters. But regardless, finally somebody with some common sense about Israel. Roll tape.
If you look at the Mideast, there is an ongoing genocide against Jews and Christians in all the nations in the Mideast. In 1948, there was 1 million Jews in the Mideast, in the Arab countries. Today, there's about 15,000 left. 20% of the population was Christian, now it's 5%. In Israel, in contrast, there were 150,000 Palestinians in 1948. Today, there's almost 2 million. They're 20% of the population. If Israel wanted to commit a genocide against Palestinians, it could do it in a minute. It's doing the opposite. The Palestinian population is growing enormously around Israel. There are no Jews in Jordan. There are no Jews in Gaza. The number of Christians in Gaza has dropped by about 80% over the past 10 years. If you want to see where a real genocide is happening, it's not in Israel. It's happening in all the nations around it.
And one of the other things that really animates this new movement...
Beautifully said, Mr. Kennedy. Did you hear what he said tonight, folks? All you Jew haters, all you anti-Semites. He said there ain't no genocide going on in Gaza by the Israelis. No, the genocide is going on of the Jews in the Arab countries. Did you hear the figures? And the Christians too, by the way. Well said. I could get off into that. We'd be here at 3 o'clock tonight, but I'm not going to do that. All right, I've got 4 minutes, and really don't have that, but I'm going to give you 4 minutes. You got a question? Roll, talk to me, and we'll take your questions, comments. Roger, good to see you tonight. Susan, why won't the Obamas just go away? That's $1 million question. I always say the same thing, Susan. It's good to see you tonight, by the way. Hadn't seen you in a while. When somebody asks me a why question, I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't care what it is. When you say why, I don't know. Only God knows sometimes some of this stuff. I can tell you my opinion, but that's all it'd be. It'd be an opinion, because I have no idea why they don't just go away. Anyway, I wish they would sometimes. I've got a funny video, but it's not the time to do it tonight. We might do it tomorrow night. Pat and Deb says Warnock was talking out of both sides of his mouth. I disagree a little bit, Pat and Deb. No, he wasn't just talking out of his mouth. He was talking from demon spirits. No, that was demon spirits talking through that man. I say this again, folks. We make the mistake of thinking these people are dumb or these people are a little off in the head. They're not off in the head. No, they are. They're fully aware of what they're saying. I just thought it was hypocritical. It's the most hypocritical, anti-Semitic stuff. He sits there and he was on Bill Maher's program just last weekend blaming the Jews for the situation in Gaza. And then that other video we played was from 2016, right before Trump got elected, and he said that we needed to repent as a nation for the whiteness of America. Folks, that's the most anti-Semitic stuff you've ever seen. I'm just going to say it like this. Don't bring this this racism to me from the black community telling us that we whites are racist. I hear just as much racism coming from the black community and worse. Your own folks, the own rappers are using the N-word more than they can eat dinner every night and drink water. Give me a break. But then he gets on his pulpit and claims that we got to repent of the oppression and the bigotry and the anti-Semitism and the racism in this country. Well, Mr. Warnock, instead of you pointing your self-righteous, bigoted, demonic finger at the white community, you might want to point it at yourself and yours, brother. I'll just leave it at that. And I will tell you emphatically that the LGBTQ community do not reflect the glory of God and the image of God. Again, just to make it clear, tonight, no, they don't reflect it at all. The Lord loves them, but they need to be saved. And they need to be delivered. And I'll leave it at that. And we don't hate them either. We don't hate nobody. We love all folks. But they need to get saved and they need to meet Jesus. They need to meet Jesus. Roger, I'm disappointed with the SCOTUS 2. Horrible decisions. But, buddy, as Jeemes pointed out, and I should have been a little bit more fair about it myself, they did rule a few things right today, but even the Kavanaugh decision on the men and women's sports, he left the door wide open for these states to still allow it. He should have just capsuled it into a federal provision to say, look, it is illegal in all 50 states, that you are not to be allowing a transgendered male or a transgender. You don't really see it much females into men's sports. You're seeing some of that, but it's mainly these godless men that are transitioning to women. They're participating in women's sports, and their muscular ability is, many of them are hurting people. The whole case was brought by a girl that got hurt in a volleyball game by a transgender female. Basically, it was a male. And Kavanaugh should have been stronger in that. The issue with Trump giving him the power to fire and all that, to me, that's minor. I didn't bring it up tonight. I mean, it's not like I'm going to lose sleep if Trump wasn't able to fire people. But this birthright citizenship and this voting thing about these ballots and this man and women's sports things, those things matter for the whole country. Those things are big time. And I'm with you on this. I'm very disappointed too. I was very disappointed in the car today, and I let the Lord know about it. I was letting it all hang out in the car, and the Lord was, in His own way, was saying, "Calm down, just calm down. I'm in control of this. Just calm down, calm down." It was hard to calm down, Roger. I'm with you, man. Good to see you tonight, buddy. Honestly, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you back here. All righty. Anything else? Don't forget, we're going to be here. Tomorrow. Bible students won't be with you in the morning. I've got to have a meeting. We're going to see our dear friend Pastor Eli Hendricks. Pastor Eli's coming on the show again. We've got some great announcements to make about January of 27 and April of 27. But we'll talk about all this tomorrow night on our Faith Show. Don't forget, if you sent us a donation to that address we had on the show, we put it in the Telegram room, we put it in Facebook, and I've got it up here tonight. Please use this format. It was partially my fault, but it was also their fault. They didn't tell me exactly. I just thought it was box 249, and they would get to it because it's just a complicated situation. But that's how you've got to send our mail to us in Dothan. So please use that. And if you have sent a donation and it goes back, please pray about sending it back because we need it right now. And we'll talk about that more tonight on the Faith Show. God bless you out there. I hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. I thought it was good. I hate we couldn't get Mag on, but we'll get her on this week. Branko's coming with me Thursday. Boy, he'll be fired up. I can't wait to see those cartoons about all this. Woo! I bet that cartoon hand is just a going tonight. He still ain't got me the 2026 version of the Mac Man acting crazy on the show. He promised me he'd do a new cartoon. The Dumb Foolery one we've retired, but he's going to do a new one, and I'm waiting for that one. We'll see. Brad Johnson's coming next week, maybe. Ricky Wilson definitely next week. Judge Sherilyn Allen apologizes. She was going to be here with us tonight to surprise you, but something came up at the very, very last minute. She couldn't be with you. We're going to get her back on, talk about these SCOTUS rulings. And listen, may the Lord bless you. And have some surprise guests coming this week before we get to the 4th. I want to just say this tonight, folks. We love you all. We appreciate every one of you being with us on this journey. I'm so proud of my country. I'm proud of this nation. I know we're not perfect. I know we got a lot of issues. I know that today was, in many ways, not a good day. I don't think it was as bad as the day that July 26th of 2015 when the courts ruled that same-sex marriage was legal in this country. I felt like that was the lowest point I think this country had ever sunk to under Obama. I did. Today is not quite that bad, but today is definitely not good. And the decisions that were made today are going to have long-lasting effects unless they're fixed. But I want to just say this, as I said, maybe it was Monday night or Friday night, or maybe the late show Friday night. I don't care how bad it is. I know I said this to our Bible students one morning this week. I don't care how bad this country is. I don't care how corrupt and bad our government is sometimes. And all these things that are going on. God has a plan still for this nation. God put his hand on this nation. He has his handprint on this nation. He never intended this nation to reach this place we're at. This was not God's will. This is not God's will to see America go down like this. It's our choice what we do. But I want to say this to the believers. We can take a defeatist attitude, throw the towel in, stop voting, stop praying, stop believing God, and we will be doomed. Me and you are the salt of the earth. Me and you are the light of the world. We are still here. We have not departed yet. We have not departed yet. And I will tell you this. We have foreigners that are part of the show, and they live in other nations. They love this country far more than our own citizens do. And that really hurts me sometimes for us. I'm so proud that they do. I look at Cleo out there tonight. She lives in Australia. She loves this nation. She does. We talk about each other's country, but she's always concerned about what goes on over here. Because our country affects Australia in a way, and all of these nations that we are friends with. But they have a love for our nation that's pure, and they don't get some of the stuff they're seeing. I look at Vijaya. He's told me more times than not. He said, Chris, the very things that has destroyed India, this Buddhism, Hinduism, these foreign gods, the yoga, the Eastern arts, and all this meditation, and all this transcendentalism, and all these things that are based upon Buddhism and Hinduism. He says, I see them in your churches over there. He said, it hurts me. He said, I can't understand why you as a Christian nation do this. I had Ruth Landy, my dear friend in Israel, former advisor to Shimon Peres. She told me just the other night, she said, Chris, I don't get it. She said, y'all have got the mega community has got the biggest Christian base. And she said, it's like there is no voice. There's nobody screaming about what's going on with Israel and what America's doing and the conflict internally in that administration, that evidently there's some voices that are trying to get Trump to just throw Israel to the curb. And you heard James say it tonight. And she says, we don't get it over here. She said, I love your nation. She said, I love America. She said, but we don't get you right now. And folks, if foreigners can love us, why can't we love our own country? We can moan and bellyache all we want. It ain't going to change a thing. The only thing that's going to change things is us on our knees and us thanking God every day that we live in a free country. We're still free, at least for now. But I say this to the ignorant out there that are telling people not to go vote and not get involved in their nation and just throw everything to the curb and thinking they're doing a spiritual exercise by being spiritually pathetically lazy and spiritually pathetically blind and spiritually pathetically darkened in their heart and their spirit. Because let me tell you something, church, if we don't vote, if we don't get out and do our part, I don't care what you may think it's worthless or it's useless or we don't need to do this or we don't need to do that. That's the devil talking. We have a say of how this country goes still. And the world needs to see us fired up for our Lord first. Jesus is first. But they need to see us loving our nation, loving our country, being proud of our nation, being proud of our country, praying for our country, praying for our leaders, voting for godly leaders. And stop this belly aching and stop this murmuring, because I'm going to tell you this, neighbor. Once these freedoms go, if we keep murmuring and we keep complaining, Israel found this out the hard way. God has a way of taking the things we're murmuring about away from us. And we don't want to see that. And the world don't want to see America in that condition. I don't want to see us in that place. We need to stop belly aching and complaining, and we need to get busy doing something and supporting our nation and loving America. That's what this season's about. Because we are at 250 years, and we need to be proud of it. We don't need to be ashamed of our country. There are things in it tonight that are not right. There are things I'm not happy with. There are things that are happening in it. Things that are going on that I am ashamed about. But I will tell you something, my nation, I love my nation. I'm willing to stay in this trench and fight for her every night on this show. I'm asking you to join me in this trench. And let's fight together through prayer and intercession and being positive and increasing our faith to believe God can bring us out of this instead of thinking this all over and everything's dead and gone. I don't believe that. I'm praying that there's going to be a move of God still in this country. I really am. I really am. It starts with us. Starts with us. I feel that on me like a blanket tonight. I really do. And I hope you do too. May the Lord bless you tonight. Enjoyed the show. Put some fire in that house. Thank you, Jeemes Akers. Sorry we didn't get Mag on, but we'll get her on soon. Good to see Cleo in the house tonight, friend. Thank you for being out there. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. We will see you. We will see you tomorrow night on our Face Show. Before we go out, one more time, just a reminder.
Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with TDS? The symptoms can be relentless. Fortunately, I'm Dr. Trump, and I have a treatment plan. Let's hear what some of my patients have to say.
I have been suffering for over a decade, and after listening to Dr. Trump, I can see some results.
Man, I've been suffering for years. I really didn't believe that was help out there. That was when I came across this video on TV.
I really thought I was a lost cause. This was gonna affect me for the rest of my life. But after using the treatment plan, I can see a difference.
I really wasn't sure I could help some of these people. They were so far gone, I wasn't really sure.
I had no idea how much this was affecting my life. My work is slowed down. I'm hardly recognizable anymore. I just needed help.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Constantly angry. I made everyone miserable around me.
I feel like I've aged 20 years in the last 2 years. I've been so concerned, I was really starting to worry about my future.
The treatment is simple. Turn off. Fake news. Say your prayers, and if you ever feel anxious, just have a Diet Coke like me and you're going to see a remarkable difference in your life.